This is Capital T Truth. Here we expose the beliefs, patterns, and trauma loops that have kept you limited. My subconscious mind says this is red because I once said it was black when I was a kid. My dad yelled at me. So now we know if I said black, even though I know this is black, Dad's gonna yell at me. If he yells at me, it won't take care of me. I'm gonna suffer and die when I'm 4. Right? Like that's what happened. So from that moment at 4 years old that my dad yelled at me, because I said this was black, it's now red to me. So my subconscious mind lives in a world where this is red, and my highest consciousness knows it's black, right? Because it's the part that's connected to all that's greater than us, and it is now I'm in non-alignment. I'm Larry Yatch, a former Navy SEAL officer and entrepreneur who learned the hard way that the strategies that create success can also quietly destroy the quality of your life. This work exists to expose that truth. And I've gotten to work with 4 billionaires, so full-on billion dollars. And getting to work with them, I've gotten to see people that are at that highest, they have the opportunity, they're at the decision point of the highest level of consciousness, conscious mind, because they have all needs taken care of. They have bought every want, experienced every want they ever wanted. Their families, every want's ever being taken care of. So all needs, all wants are taken care of. At that point in time, they have to make a choice. They have to choose to elevate into highest consciousness, or they end up on a loop back into subconscious. And unfortunately, most of them, when I get to them, have chosen to elevate down. And what does that look like? Fear.
Fear that you'll lose everything.
They're going to take everything. I'm going to lose everything. I don't have enough. I'm ruining my children. I'm ruining my children with money. And so even though they could be at the precipice of highest consciousness, they go back to subconscious. If you're ready for freedom through alignment, you're in the right place.
So we brought up subconscious, which is a level of the pyramid of consciousness. Can we go into that a little bit more in detail?
Yeah, totally. So we needed to establish a couple things here. We need to establish that we have the infinite power of creation of the universe, of God, of whatever you want to say. That infinite power of creation comes in the fact that we can make anything true that we want. As soon as we make things true or untrue, that's going to change our perception of the world and the decisions that we make in it. That is either going to bring aligned action, or it's going to bring behaviors that create suffering. Suffering is merely the gift of the universe to have a sea where we are living in an untruth relative to the environment that we're in. So that core foundation is necessary, because the biggest question that should be in people's minds right now is, well, shit, Larry, how do I live in capital T truth? Like if you're saying, if I know capital T truth, and I consciously know that and accept that and bring it into my truth, I will act in alignment with that and I have no suffering. So then how the hell do I know that? And that's where the pyramid of consciousness comes in. In order to understand the pyramid of consciousness, we have to review, because we'll have talked about conscious, subconscious, higher consciousness somewhere else. But we need to at least review, what do we mean by consciousness? What do we mean by these different types of consciousness? And within that place, human consciousness is the part of us that is infinite, right? That is the part of us that has the infinite capability to create. Because we have a finite mind. What I mean by a finite mind, I think the worst part of being a human is you have an infinite consciousness, a consciousness that is unlimited in its ability to create, that is stuck in a finite brain. Like our minds are finite, meaning they start and they end. They actually require linearity, right? And so you have this infinite thing stuck in a finite vessel. Because of that, we have a very hard time, if not an impossible time, understanding or holding infinite concepts, right? Our mind can't. And so when we start to try to hold human consciousness, which is this infinite thing in our minds, we can't do it. So we need to break it up. And so what we've done is break it up into, for our understanding, into subconscious, conscious, and higher consciousness. Now, subconscious, conscious, higher consciousness is not different things. Like it's all one. We have one consciousness.
Right.
Like we don't have the subconscious that lives here and the conscious that lives over here. It is one thing, but this thing is so huge, so big, we can't hold it all, that we split it up. And so I say that because if you were to hear me listen with great detail and hear me say we have a subconscious and conscious, you could argue that there is no difference between those. It is the same thing, and I agree with you. Like it is this one thing, but it helps us to break it up. Once we break that up, now you have to start thinking or going through, well, the part of our consciousness that we refer to as the subconscious, what's its purpose? What's it driven for? Our conscious mind, what's its purpose? What's it driven for? Like, what do we use it for? Our highest consciousness, what's its purpose? What do we use it for?
It's like tapping into.
Understanding, so we can then know, like, the parts of our consciousness that do this, we refer to as the subconscious. Because how many times in this episode or another episode have we said conscious or subconscious? Like all the time, right? So being able to, at least for us as a community, to have shared understanding of these different things gives us the ability to coordinate around them.
Right.
So subconscious, conscious, higher consciousness. Each one has a drive. They each have a purpose. They each do something in our lives. Ultimately, understanding this gives us the ability to then assess what is aligned. And when I say aligned, what I'm saying is our highest consciousness, our consciousness, and our subconscious are all pulling in the same direction. That's what an aligned decision. I would also refer to that as a fully conscious decision.
Okay.
Right? When we make fully conscious and fully aligned decisions, it is impossible to suffer.
At what point of our lives are we ever truly aligned?
The best answer is also not completely accurate, which goes down a whole nother thing, but I'll do a quick at birth.
Okay.
Right. And arguably at conception would probably, depending on, I don't know, everyone, I don't have a hardcore philosophy, so everyone's got different philosophies, but argue, like, the purest answer would be at conception, you live in complete alignment. And you could extend that, like a not perfectly accurate answer, which I have a hard time saying, but not perfectly not accurate, but general answer would be at birth, right?
Is that because we haven't really experienced the world yet?
We haven't experienced the world, traumas.
Okay.
Because what generally drives as we'll find, what drives our biggest challenge in life is when our conscious mind and our subconscious minds are not in alignment. And
kind of much like the example of the not red pen.
Yeah.
Right there, not in alignment of our beliefs.
Okay. Yeah, our conscious mind says, my subconscious mind says this is red because I once said it was black when I was a kid. My dad yelled at me. So now we know if I said black, even though I know this is black, Dad's going to yell at me. If he yells at me, it won't take care of me. I'm going to suffer and die when I'm 4, right? Like that's what happened. So from that moment at 4 years old that my dad yelled at me, because I said this was black, it's now red to me. So my subconscious mind lives in a world where this is red.
Right.
And my highest consciousness knows it's black, right? Because it's the part that's connected to all that's greater than us. And it is now I'm in non-alignment.
Wow.
Now, because the subconscious is more powerful than the conscious mind, I will act in it being red, which will cause conflict and suffering. So part of the reason you can say, like, as a baby, as a very young child, you have not experienced the traumas that create the strategies that become untrue, right? Like, Dad hasn't yelled at me yet, so I haven't made up that this is red.
Right.
And now, why does my autistic brain say you can't say that, Larry, because it's not 100% true? Because there are birth traumas.
Right.
There's transgenerational epigenetic trauma, right? Where my DNA is methylated based on my mom's traumas and her traumas before her. And so the reality is, unfortunately, as a human being, in the experience of being a human, you will experience trauma, be it passed to you from your mom or your great-great-grandfather through transgenerational epigenetic markers, all the way to birth trauma, all the way to my nervous system is tuned by my mom's for the 9 months I'm in her in her system. And
Right.
so if she experiences any adrenal response
Right.
while I'm in utero, I experience it too. So
Right.
unfortunately, as a human, you don't really get born perfectly in alignment because you
Right.
carry the traumas of the past generations
Yeah,
with you.
and to me that makes so much sense because when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was in high stress all the
Yeah.
time because I had lost the baby before her during
Mm-hmm.
childbirth. So I know that there was a lot of that. And now working with her and
can see
working
it.
through this, I see it so
Yeah.
clearly. And I believe it's true because that was my experience through it.
My oldest, same thing, right?
Yeah.
My oldest and youngest, very different experiences of them being both in utero and their first 6 months of life. And you can see the difference in the way they experience their world, because one experienced trauma, stress,
Right.
anxiety, fear for the first year,
Yeah.
both in utero and past, and the other didn't. And you can see it in their nervous systems. You can
Right.
see it in their systems. So in general, to answer your question, that's why I say at conception, right? Where consciousness has yet to be tainted by trauma
Right.
is really the only time. But in general, you could say before we learn our lessons, right? Lessons of survival.
No, and I thought that was a really good point to bring to the audience just because of the fact that this might be new information for them.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
heard of consciousness, they've heard of subconscious, but they don't really know what it is.
Or trauma.
Or trauma, or any
these
of the
things.
terminology we're using today.
And that's also why I keep giving releasing some pressure, because you'd say, like, oh, so what they're saying is I create all my problems and every suffering I have is my fault. It's all and we just get worse. None of that's
Not true.
the case, right? It is a gift, and it is a gift that we create, and it's a gift we give ourselves even, and you're not at fault. Like, you are not at fault. Generally, our subconscious mind is the one that creates these untruths. Dad yelled at me at 3 because I spilled some paint, so now black is red. Now I have to act in accordance with that untruth, which creates suffering in my life. So when we've come through, we've talked about this concept of truth, uppercase, lowercase truth. We've talked about the fact that consciousness is infinite, so we break it up just to be able to talk about it, subconscious, conscious, higher consciousness. That leads us to this pyramid of consciousness. And this pyramid of consciousness gives us a ability to understand the purpose, the drives of each of these different aspects of our consciousness, to understand, one, how we make decisions, and then how we can make poor decisions. So when we start with our subconscious mind, we start with the understanding that the driving, like, hardcore purpose of the subconscious mind initially is to keep us alive. And so you can think of the subconscious as all the things that keep you living, right? Like everything from your heart beating to breathing to startle response. Those are the basic parts of it, but it is also all the strategies of survival that we have learned. And so initially, the purpose of the subconscious is to keep us alive. But then all of a sudden, our subconscious experiences these traumatic events, right? And all they are these times where the perception of control was taken away from the subconscious. And as soon as that happens, if we survive, the subconscious learns, right? And when it learns, it creates rules. And what it's creating is truths. Red cup, not black. Right? So the purpose of the subconscious initially is to keep us alive. Once we experience traumas and survive, which happened very early in our life, 2-3 years old, now all of a sudden the purpose of the subconscious shifts from keeping us alive to keeping us safe. And the way it keeps us safe is to stay within its rules, right? Stay within its untruths. But for it, it's truths. So that purpose of the subconscious is to keep us safe. The reason I make the distinction between safe and alive was my whole story in one of the other episodes about
the sinking ship one.
Yeah, the sinking ship episode of I barely make it out of the SEALs, should be in a wheelchair, bunch of surgeries, and the first thing I do is join a skydiving team, right? That choice to join a skydiving team would not keep me alive or keep me safe, but what it did was give my subconscious a sense of control, which is how it feels safe. And so
in any situation in life. So when we're talking about experiences, there could be somebody out there today experiencing maybe they were a child and they got locked in a closet. And in that moment, they have a set of rules, right? Strategies to survive that moment. And whatever happened, anytime they feel that high stress or
off they go running.
Off they go.
Yeah.
It might be that running or hiding or whatever their strategy becomes. Shut down.
Disassociation.
Yes,
Could be
anything. Because like that child that was, let's say 5 years old, it happened to them. It could have been in the closet for a minute, but for them, they were in a closet for hours, and they literally thought they were going to die there. And then they come out with all the strategies of survival in that moment, and they carry those through everything: career, life, relationship, finances. And so those are the things we're talking about
and
today.
the worst part about that, like we'll talk about this in another episode, but the worst part about that is what they're going to do is create closets in every aspect of their life.
Every aspect.
Traps, right? So the subconscious purpose is to keep us safe.
Right.
And its drive are our needs, right? So when we think about the subconscious, what I always want you to think about is it is one of the most powerful aspects of our consciousness when it comes to creating our world, because it controls the information flow and it controls the majority of the decisions. So the subconscious is the most powerful thing. Its purpose is to keep us safe, and its drive is to take care of our needs.
And it makes most of our decisions.
Yeah, not even like you want to say 90%. No, it's like 99.9% of the
Which
decisions.
is crazy.
It's a whole nother discussion on the power of the subconscious.
Right.
The big thing to remember here is subconscious wants to keep us safe. The way it keeps us safe is by having a sense of control. The way it has a sense of control is by running through its rules, and it's always trying to take care of our needs. Then we move on to the consciousness. So when someone has, say you've taken care of all your needs,
Okay.
right? What comes next? All your core needs are, there you go, right?
Yeah. Okay, needs, check, check, check. Now what do I want? What do I really want that gives me joy, happiness, fulfillment, all those glorious things?
And so you just nailed the conscious, right? The conscious mind, as soon as your subconscious needs are taken care of, as soon as your subconscious, you feel safe, every person then steps right into the next thing, which is, okay, I'm safe. I got all my needs taken care of. What do I want now?
Right.
I want to be happy.
Yes.
Right. I want to be fulfilled.
Right. So we're just going to throw something out there just because. I was dating, right? And a lot of our beginning talks, it was all about need. Well, I need them to like me. I need them to know that I'm special. I need them to know that, like, I'm a catch. I need this. I need that. And, like, Larry is great. But, of course, at the beginning stages, I didn't know. But the way that you really find out if it's need or want, you make a list. And then I got so good, because of Larry, but I got so good at recognizing, you would ask me, why did you do that? Well, I needed this. But what do you want? Whoa. I don't know what I want because I've never
I'm allowed to want something.
I'm allowed. Yeah. I have permission to want something. And then the dating, it changed. No, I don't want that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to eat that. I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want that. So then I got to live in want. And that is when I felt the most happy.
Yeah.
The most fulfilled, the most joy, the most, this might be the wrong word, but powerful that I get to live the life in which I get to create.
And that's just step 2. It even goes to step 3. And so you couldn't have done a better job of illustrating the purpose of the conscious. The purpose of the conscious is to create initially. So think of it as of levels, just like our needs, right? Our subconscious needs. You have the really base ones.
Right.
And then you start getting to the ones that aren't, well, I need air conditioning, right? And then at some point, it transfers out of need into want. Where like now I want a bigger house, right? Whereas I need shelter from the thing, and then I need a home, right? I want a bigger house. It's the same thing there, where if you look at that primary drive of the conscious being joy and fulfillment, the earliest stages of conscious purpose is your joy and fulfillment. The higher levels of conscious joy and fulfillment is I want others' joy and fulfillment around me so I can experience it. And so the true defining purpose of the conscious mind is to create joy and fulfillment around you that you can experience.
Right.
And it's two pieces, because
Right.
there's a lot of people, like one of my favorite things to do is to create joy and fulfillment around me, but
Right.
I don't get to. It's at my cost, right? That is not fulfilling my conscious side. That's still in the subconscious, because I'm acting from a place of safety.
The need.
If I suffer for your joy and fulfillment, you'll accept me all
Right.
back to 8 years old.
Right.
So this is where you can see it gets tricky. Like, is my need to suffer for others love? Is that a conscious choice or a subconscious choice? It's a subconscious choice, because it allows me to feel safe, right? It takes care of one of my needs of connection. When I'm truly in the conscious mind, I'm creating joy and fulfillment around me, and I get to experience it. And so you can see it starts, and what's now with these two distinctions, you start seeing the subconscious at the lowest level operates purely out of absolute fear and terror, right? So if you take it all the way down to your most basic need, you take that away for someone, they feel fear and terror. And in fear and terror, they feel absolute isolation, right? So it's fear and terror for me. At the lowest level of subconscious actions, I can only act in full selfishness.
Right.
As I elevate up the pyramid of consciousness, I become less and less selfish, right? At the highest levels of conscious choice, I am experiencing joy and fulfillment simply because others are experiencing joy and fulfillment.
So in the example of the dating,
Yes.
like when I was saying, it was about what I want, that was a selfish still,
Yeah.
but even though I was
It
in
was still
consciousness,
unconscious want.
right?
Yeah.
And then when I got to creating a fun experience in a date on the night, whether we're having great conversation or they're having a great time and we go off as friends, but I had a great time. They had a great time. We got to experience that moment together. So I knew where I was
A
in
higher
that
level of consciousness.
And I know it's just dating, but you could take that into your career, your parenting, your relationships. You could take this in any area of your life. Yeah.
So we're sitting and now seeing, as I elevate in the pyramid of consciousness, I become less self-centered. At the lowest levels, it is only about me. As I elevate through subconscious needs into conscious joy and fulfillment, its drive is wants, right? So we have our needs and then wants.
Right.
And needs are selfish, wants become a little less selfish,
Right.
and eventually it becomes from just my wants to our wants,
Right.
So we become even less selfish. Now we get to the highest consciousness, and in the highest consciousness, when you step into the next layer, say you have someone that all their needs are taken care of, and they have all of their wants taken care of. That person, there's a Y in the road, and I've gotten to work with 4 billionaires, so full-on billion dollars. And getting to work with them, I've gotten to see people that are at that highest, well, they have the opportunity, they're at the decision point of the highest level of consciousness, conscious mind, because they have all needs taken care of. They have bought every want, experienced every want they ever wanted. Their families, every want's ever being taken care of. So all needs, all wants are taken care of. At that point in time, they have to make a choice. They have to choose to elevate into highest consciousness, or they end up on a loop back into subconscious. And unfortunately, most of them, when I get to them, have chosen to elevate down. And what does that look like? Fear.
Fear that you'll lose everything.
They're going to take everything. I'm going to lose everything. I don't have enough.
Which
I'm
goes
ruining
into
my
untruth.
children. I'm ruining my children with money. And so even though they could be at the precipice of highest consciousness,
Right.
they go back to subconscious.
Right.
And as soon as you go back to subconscious, it doesn't matter how much money in the world, you're going to feel isolated, alone. You're going to live in fear. Right. And so as soon as you do that, all of a sudden your choices are based off subconscious levels. But because I live in a world of abundance, because I have $1 billion, I am living in untruth. It's red. I'm living in the red cup world instead of the black cup world. And those people are never happy, fulfilled, joyful. They're still working their asses off. Why? More for what? I don't know. Right?
Which leads us to our ambition, which we did a series on ambition. So make sure you check that one out if you want
Exactly.
to know more about that. Yes.
Where is the ambition driven from? Their
Right.
ambition for change is being driven by subconscious
Subconscious.
need, which creates feelings of isolation. They're alone, even
Right.
though they have the opportunity to be at the highest level.
Yes.
So then you have those people that have taken this path back down to conscious or subconscious. Then you have the opportunity to go to the next layer. And the people that choose to go to the next layer.
And for the record, you do not have to be a billionaire to
No.
be here, just for the record.
No, we're going to talk through the hacks. Like
Yes.
how can I shortcut this stuff?
Right.
Because there are shortcuts.
Right.
How do I shortcut to highest consciousness? In the highest consciousness, the purpose of it is to bring the way, and this would be a little more flowery than my normal language, but I think it's the best way to describe it, is to bring the light and love of connection into the world. Right? And so the simpler way to say that is, what is the purpose of the highest consciousness? To bring connection into the world. Now, if you hear this, the subconscious is my needs. The conscious is our wants. The highest consciousness is connection into the world. I don't even exist, right? So it starts at only me at the bottom, and at the top, there is no me. Like everything I'm doing has nothing to do with me,
Right.
because my needs and my wants are all taken care of.
Yes.
And in that, I get to bring connection into the world with no concern for self. And that allows me to live my highest purpose. So you have need in subconscious, you have want in conscious, and what you have is calling or purpose in the highest consciousness. And in a calling, even more than a purpose, in a calling, there is no concern for self, right? A calling is the purest expression of your truth, of your unique frequency on this planet. And in that, we can only bring connection into the world without any concern for self. And so we have this pyramid of consciousness built now, where you have the subconscious concerned with our needs to keep us safe. We have the conscious mind concerned with bringing joy and fulfillment around the world and our world and experiencing it, our wants. And then you have the highest consciousness, which is driven to bring light and love of the world, or connection into the world with no concern for self, which is being called
Right.
to be our highest, purest self. So that becomes our pyramid of consciousness.
So there's a lot of people out there that are constantly talking about my why. Why am I here? What's
Yes.
my purpose? Would this be accurate to say that you'll never find it if you live in your subconscious on the pyramid,
Or conscious.
or conscious, depending on the level in which you
That's
are?
so now.
So do you
yeah.
have to touch the highest self in order to even know, because that is your calling?
You have to release the low and lower selves to get to the point of the calling. Now, that's why I made a distinction between calling and purpose. I
Right.
can have the purpose to stay safe,
Right.
and the drive and the ambition to stay safe, which has me deeply in my subconscious needs. So
Right.
just because I'm in the subconscious doesn't mean I don't have purpose. You can have purpose. I'm making a distinction, purpose and calling, by saying calling is the purest expression of self with no concern for self,
Right.
right? Purpose can be driven by selfish needs, right? So I'm making a distinction between those two things. Many people want to live in their calling, and they haven't taken care of their needs or wants yet, and that's impossible. And so
They just don't know how to get there, and this is a pathway.
not even know, you can't.
Okay.
Like that's a super important piece, because a lot of people live out there unfulfilled,
Yeah.
saying, I really just want my purpose. What they're really saying is, I want to live in my calling, my purest expression of self.
Right.
Right? You can't if you still are living in subconscious need. And so that's where we start getting into, well, there's some shortcuts.
Right.
Now, there's only one shortcut.
Okay. Is this the
I
powerful
wish
tool you talked about?
we're getting there,
Okay.
right? I wish there was a shortcut on the subconscious, but there isn't. There's no way to shortcut your subconscious needs, right? Your needs of safety and survival. So in order to get out of subconscious decision making, which will always be tainted by your traumas, you have to take care of your needs. You have to get out of that expression of need now. Now, you can give that to someone else. Like Mother Teresa lived in her calling, I would
Right.
believe, lived purely in her purest calling, but the church took care of all of her needs. Like she didn't have to have a job, right? She didn't have to make money. She didn't have to worry about who was feeding her, right? So she gave away all of her needs to someone else and someone else took care of them, but they still had to be taken care of. If she didn't have food, clothing, shelter, she wouldn't be able to live in her calling, right? So our needs just have to be taken care of. Maybe you can get help and support for others to take care of your needs, but they have to be taken care of. Where we can have a shortcut is in our wants, our conscious wants. Two paths. One path, the harder path, is take care of all your wants. Like, you want a boat, buy a boat. You want to go on vacation 3 times a month, go on vacation 3 times a month. Like, create the power and the value in the world to pay for all that. But the other way to do it is to release the attachment to them. And that's a huge place. Like, you can either take care of your wants by actually getting them, or you just release your desire for those wants, your attachment to them. And it's, if I let go of all of my attachments for any wants, all of a sudden the conscious is taken care of. And where we see that is often in monks. So what do monks do?
Right.
Monks get to a place where their needs are taken care of, and then they give up any wants and desires, which allows them to be at the precipice of living at the highest consciousness. Right? So I'm not saying everyone
I was
needs to
going to
go out
say,
and be a
he's
monk.
not saying go be a monk or you'll never experience this.
Well, this is interesting for you, like you and me. We, in our earlier careers, were driven by subconscious need for safety, which drove what? A whole lot of money and accomplishments. Right? Now that you are releasing your wants, right?
Yeah.
Or better yet, as you've increased your consciousness, do you
Not
want
as
more or
attached.
less?
Less.
Less.
Yeah.
Right? So are you choosing to be a monk?
No.
No, but all of a sudden those attachments to those things are no longer there.
Right, they're not.
Because you've tasted what it feels like to live in a calling.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I'll take that.
Right.
Right? I'll take that every day. Now, if all of a sudden I took your house, your car, your food, you would have to go back down to subconscious, take care of your needs. So we can't get rid of that, but we can release our wants.
But we're also not telling people that if you are in that position where you're about to lose your house, your car, your everything, it doesn't mean that you don't have the opportunity to live in consciousness, because you totally do.
Yes and no, you can't. Like, if you live in constant fear that I'm not going to have dinner tomorrow.
Okay.
You cannot live in highest conscious calling. It's not
Not
possible.
highest conscious, but you could be tapping into your consciousness.
No, you can't.
No.
Not until it's taken care of. There's
Really?
literally no way past it.
Okay.
Because of the way our strongest drive is survival, and our survival is driven by our subconscious. And if our subconscious feels that it will not survive, it will shortcut everything. The way I can do that or share that is, if, say, you're living in your highest calling to help the children,
Okay.
and I come in here with a gun and put it to your head, and I'm going to blow out your brains, at that point in time, you can't think about the kids. Like, there's no way to do it, right? So if I put you into full fear of death,
Okay.
there is nothing you can do but survive. Now, or what some people do, again, this is where I have to be super thing, you can completely dissociate and give up.
Right.
And just like, okay, fine, shoot me. But that's not.
So the shortcut to
Yeah,
that
yeah.
definitely then is to get out of need to want as
You
quickly
have
as
to
possible.
take care of your needs.
And doing that would be, I would say, listening to the Success podcast as well as the Ambition one, and get there as quickly as possible. So there is a remedy.
There is another remedy.
Okay.
Get help.
Get help.
Right? Like, what your subconscious will have you believe is that you are in this alone.
No.
But the fastest way through need is coordinated action with others.
Right.
Which is what we talked about in the Success
Success.
podcast, right? So yes, there is a shortcut, and the
Right.
shortcut is coordinate with other humans.
Right.
And if you, like Mother Teresa, right?
Yes.
She doesn't take care of her needs. The community does,
Right.
which allows her to serve the community at the highest level. So the community takes care of her. She releases attachments to any wants. That allows her to live in her highest calling, which serves the community the best. And so we can shortcut it by community. We shortcut it by releasing our wants.
Okay.
Now this leads us to the last thing, the tool that I promised.
Powerful tool. Not
Very,
just a
very,
tool, a powerful
very
tool.
powerful
to be
tool.
clear. Okay.
How does this lead us to knowing capital T versus lowercase t truth. Because at the very beginning, we established that capital T truth is truth that is outside of us. I like sometimes say fundamental. It's truth of the universe, truth of God. It's truth of love, connection, all this, like the biggest things. It's this truth. When we act in alignment with that, our life is full of safety, joy, fulfillment, happiness. When we act in our lowercase t truth, truths that come from us for our own safety, we create suffering. So we gave him the first tool of saying, anywhere in your life that you're experiencing suffering, there's something that's untrue. That's almost painful because it's like, well, okay, Larry, thanks. That wasn't that freaking useful because now I just know all the places that I don't know what truth is. How the hell do I figure out truth? That's where the pyramid of consciousness comes in. Right. Every capital T truth will say yes to 6 questions. Does it bring safety to me? Yes. Does it fulfill my needs? Yes. Does it bring joy and happiness, fulfillment around me and to me? Yes or no? Does it fulfill my wants? Yes or no? Does it bring connection into the world without concern for me? Yes or no? Is it allowing me to come closer to my calling? Yes or no? Right? And if you don't know what your calling is because you're too far in the subconscious, does it bring connection into the world? So, well, I don't know what I want. Okay, does it bring joy and fulfillment around you and allow you to experience it? Yes or no? So I don't know what I need. If you don't know what you need, want, or what your calling is, okay, don't answer those questions. Right. But does it bring safety to you? Yes. Does it bring joy and fulfillment around you? Yes. Are you allowed to experience it? That's another one, yes. And then the last one of, does it bring connection into the world without concern for self? Yes or no? And that is the tool that we can use. Every capital T truth has yeses on all of those 3. Every lowercase t truth, one of those things is a no. And we can give a specific example. Like, I'm working through challenges with my ex-wife, right? So within those things, we're gonna have a discussion, and we're gonna be in opposite sides of that discussion, right? Meaning my position, her position are not the same position. I can meet that by preparing to create a position where she can't win, and my position is going to win. Is that going to bring safety to me? Yeah.
Yes.
Is that going to bring joy and fulfillment around me? Maybe me, my boys, my fiance, maybe us. To her, no.
Right.
I can say, well, I'm not attached to her joy and fulfillment, so yes, I'll say yes to that. Is that going to bring connection into the world?
No. So therefore, it is a
lowercase
t.
Yeah. So what's an alternative? Say I enter that conversation knowing that she wants the best for our boys, I want the best for our boys, and ultimately we want the best for each other, even though we might not agree.
Right.
And within that, coming into it saying, not I'm going to create an ironclad thing where I can win at all costs, but with an open mind of saying, let's see how we create wins for her, for me, and for the boys. Is that going to bring safety to me? Yes. Could that bring risk to me? No, because the focus is on wins for her, me, and the boys, not me sacrificing for her.
Right.
Because that would be my other way. Well, I'll just sacrifice for her. Oh, no safety. Okay, so no, that's yes. Is that going to bring joy and fulfillment? I could see how going into it with an open mind and an open heart versus I'm going to fight with you would. Is that going to bring connection? Yes, if I go in with vulnerability, saying I'm worried about X, Y, and Z, and these are my concerns. What are your concerns? What are you worried about? Yeah, that totally could bring connection in the world. Oh, that's capital T.
Right.
And so that's a real world example of saying, how can I look at a decision I'm going to make, a very specific decision, like that wasn't esoteric, a very specific decision. Do I have yeses?
Right.
If I have a no, how do I make it a yes?
And in any area of life, you helped me with this when I was doing an assessment of a career opportunity. And I really wanted that career opportunity so bad. I was like, yes, I've been wanting this.
What part of you wanted that?
My subconscious. All need.
Yeah, so what part did not?
My conscious and higher self.
And higher self.
Yes,
yeah.
after we did the series, especially the higher self. So that was super interesting. And I just love I love this tool because for me personally, it's just brought a lot of clarity.
So within that, like to make it real, because again, we talked about, here's a conversation with an ex or a co-parenting conversation, super tactical.
Yeah.
And then I remember that conversation. This was literally a massive, what we're talking, $1 million career decision, right?
Right.
And we use the exact same tool.
Yeah.
Do you remember so your original position was to take the role,
I can take
right?
it. Mm-hmm.
And within that, you had to take the role.
I did.
You didn't really have a choice, right? That was part of the conversation.
Right.
Where were your no's? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. The no's was the connection. And the no was also with the joy and fulfillment.
Right, so I remember specifically, it was in the connection, it was going to take you away from your calling.
Right.
Right, and you've gotten a taste of that calling, and this was definitely not in the right direction.
Right.
Meaning,
and I was even sitting there on that call thinking about ways, but how could I make it part of my calling? That which was the sneaky little subconscious trying to convince me, no, but you have to be safe. You have to protect this. This is what you have to do.
Which you had to sacrifice.
You need this, but I had to sacrifice, and so.
Yeah, and within that place, it wasn't even a clear yes or no. What I remember it being was, how much connection can you bring into the world with no concern for self on option A versus how much connection can you bring into the world with no concern for self in option B?
Right.
And it was more like this. Like this still brought connection into the world. Yeah. And actually, for many people, it could have been the greatest they've ever done. But you had this potential over here. So I was like, it's a yes over here, but it's a hell yes over here.
Right.
Right. And so that was the first. And then the second one, how did it not bring joy and fulfillment? This is also a nuanced one where you could say, yes, this will bring joy and fulfillment to this group of people.
Right.
But I don't get to experience it. That was the no. And now we're saying like, we're back to performing for love and getting that support.
Right.
And so I love that example because it was not just yes or no, but it was the nuances of both level 2 conscious and level 3 higher consciousness.
And then it took us 15 minutes, just 15 minutes of questions. And then of course, when I got off the call, I was angry. My subconscious was angry. Yeah. And a little bit of fear.
Because the cup's no longer red.
Because the cup is no longer red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it took a number of weeks to actually put into action. Yeah. But what's very interesting about that scenario is that when you put it into action, it actually brought connection.
It did.
It brought joy and fulfillment. The no and the sacrifice that you thought you had to make was actually not what was wanted by the people on the other side, because they wanted to see you in your calling and your true self. So that gives us, to me, two really good examples. Like, so what does that leave? What should you all do out there?
Right.
2 exercises, two thought processes. First thought process is, where are you experiencing suffering? Right? Anywhere in your life that you're experiencing suffering, that is where you get to explore where you're living in an untruth or a lowercase t truth versus a capital T truth. So that's the first starting point. And then anywhere you find one of those areas, how do we identify the truths? Where are you acting where you're not bringing safety to yourself or not taking care of your needs? Where are you not bringing joy and fulfillment around you, or where you're not allowing yourself to experience it? Where you're not taking care of your wants? Where are you acting in isolation, distancing, disconnection versus connection? And where are you not stepping into your calling? And that's where you get to identify. Once you identify, okay, what do I change? How do I make those yeses?
And just every single day, try to experience just even a little taste, little taste of consciousness.
What I was saying, and so that leads us to what I want to end on, was what does it mean to be enlightened? What does it mean to increase our level of consciousness? What does it mean to wake up? All of those things are elevating your position on that pyramid of consciousness,
Right.
bringing more and more of the subconscious into the conscious and higher conscious mind. What does it mean to live in alignment? It means to live in alignment when my conscious need for safety, my subconscious need for safety, my conscious need for joy and fulfillment, and my highest conscious need for connection are all being pulled or being answered at the same time. And so increasing consciousness, waking up, becoming enlightened is merely moving up that pyramid. And that's why this particular talk is one of the most important, the most foundational. And it's one of the things that I must use this at least 4 or 5 times a week consciously, right? Like sit down, okay, what am I going to do?
Right.
There is not a tool that we can give that is not, I think, is more applicable than this one. So what do we cover here? Big things that we hit. We talked about the nature of truth. We talked about the nature of consciousness. We talked about the origin of capital T truth, right? The capital T truths come from outside of us, and lowercase t truths generally come from our traumas. We then went into consciousness and what it means to have an infinite consciousness and an infinite capability to create truth and untruth. But then the paradox of free will, where we are stuck to acting in alignment, whatever truth or untruth we make, which then drove us to saying, how do we find capital T truths? We find it through the pyramid of consciousness. The pyramid of consciousness is our subconscious need for safety, our conscious wants for joy and fulfillment, and our highest conscious calling for bringing connection into the world. And when we can say yes to all those questions, we know we're living in capital T truth. Thanks for listening to Capital T Truth. Subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode. As you know, the work doesn't stop when the episode ends. For more, visit the website at capitalttruth.org to submit a question to be answered live on a future podcast. We also invite listeners onto the podcast to work directly with me, where we dive into your personal strategies of survival and we solve them live. Until next time, live in capital T truth.